welcome. Thanks so much for waiting with us. We've all just got into the room, and like a real festival, you know, the flow of the morning is misbehaving with time. But we'll begin, and maybe more people will join and find us. I really want to start the session by saying that Black Lives Matter and encourage you to donate to the Black Land and Spatial Justice Fund, which is up on the main hop-in. Yeah, just really to recognize that when we're dreaming, we need to be aware of the lands that we're dreaming on and work for an anti-racist culture. It's just been, I just also want to say what a fantastic festival this is and how honored we are to be a part of it, and the strong voices that are rising over these last days are, I mean, they're taking my breath away. I'm so glad there's going to be an archive of the Department of Dreams, and this is really where we got involved, really, because we're making a different kind of dreaming archive. And over lockdown, we've been collecting recordings of dreams, and we've been holding dream space. So this is a little bit different from the hop-in stage. We're genuinely talking about the dreams that we have at night. And we've been making a space together, Kate and Paola, and actually many more people who aren't on this call. I want to honor Olu and Ed, who are coming with us to draw the dreams tomorrow on Sunday. And they can't be here today, unfortunately. But there's been a lot of us coming together just to listen and share and make that kind of circle to support listening to the dreams people are having. And I'm sure most people have seen that there's been articles in the newspapers and science reports about the intensity of dreaming that's been happening through lockdown and through these really isolated and unprecedented times. And yeah, the incubations that we're running are really about making relationship with your own inner life, with your dreaming body, with your actual body, taking care of your body, taking care to sleep, taking care to notice where you are. And before we open this conversation, which really is a welcoming conversation for us to share knowledge about this and to give a little context to the ceremony we're going to have at 5 p.m. I'd love to invite Kate and Paola to introduce themselves. We all have really different backgrounds and creative practices, and we work with dreams in a really different way. So yeah, I welcome you, Kate and Paola.
Hi everybody, lovely to have you in the room in this liminal space. I'm Kate Alderton and I'm here in Sussex, just on the edge of the South Downs. I'm a performer and a producer with a theatre company called the Mycelium. So we make theatre that often fuses consciousness research and consciousness exploration. I'm an independent dream researcher, so I'm very passionate about dreaming, and I've gathered trainings as I go along, as I continue on a quest to find out more about dreaming. So I've trained with the Centre for Social Dreaming and with the Process Work Institute and with Dam and Her, who are a big artistic dreaming community in Italy. And I'm very passionate about being in spaces and exploring spaces where we can dream together, where we can collectively dream, and how the language of dreams, how speaking the language of dreams can be helpful to voice some of the harder to speak things in the waking world. And I work with a really beautiful community of people who've been dreaming together for about a year now, and we work with our collective dreams. We often bring through elements that we've dreamed and act on them in the waking world. So we go to the places that we dream about and we embody elements of the dreams that we've collectively dreamed as a way to connect to each other and connect to the dreaming or to our collective unconsciousness and connect to the land that is really present often in our dreaming at the moment. So yeah, I'm just very, very happy to be here in conversation in this place.
Oh, I can't wait for you to tell us more about your wonderfully creative pilgrimages across Europe based on the dreams that you're having as a group. It's totally radical. Paola, hey, welcome.
Hi, my name is Paola Bay. I'm based in central London. Originally, I was born in Italy, but I feel like I'm becoming more English, even if my accent is very heavy. I'm very honored to be here with all of you. It's a true pleasure to be with my wonderful Kate and everyone else in this dreaming space. I'm originally a designer and filmmaker, but I've been studying for many, many years ancient spiritual practice and dreaming practice, especially in Egypt. And I've also been working for several years now with indigenous people, shamans and elders, and that is where my journey is moving to more than ever, and learning from them so much that we forgot, and remembering so much we forgot. And especially the language of dreams and how it can bring us all together. Because the learning is that when we're dreaming, we are actually, humanity is together without veils, without egos, and without personal agendas. And it's where we not only co-create, it's where we heal. And then when we wake up, we forgot. But that is the beauty of being in a circle like today, is learning to be always together, even during the dreaming of daytime, because even in daytime you dream, and you just have to allow it to flow. And yes, I think we're going to create something very special today and tonight when we're back together. And in time of lockdown, like Kate and I have been creating this beautiful language of dreaming, is because we actually have really met yet in the physical. But then is it really necessary to meet in the physical when you meet in the dreaming world? And it's so, so, so special. And maybe we will never meet in the physical. We will see where the universe will bring us to.
You have a ceremony that you're doing at 3 a.m. on Tuesday too, with the group you work with. Do you want to invite people to
on Tuesday night there is a Unity Week. I can put it in the chat because and I'm working with a number of elders, but the elders I'm blessed to call families are the Mamos, the Ahuaco Mamo from Colombia, and they are spiritual leaders, and they spend the first 20 years of their life in caves underground to learn to connect to the universe. And when they speak, they don't speak from their personality, they speak from the heart. So they speak from the universe, from the collective knowledge. And the ceremony, there would be Tuesday at 3 a.m. I feel very sorry about the time, it was not my choice. And the link is in the chat. There will be some teachings, and then usually what they do, they will teach us how to heal ourselves with the help of nature, of Mother Earth and all beings, that we hold the healing for us. And they will speak to us from some of the most beautiful sacred sites on this planet that are in the land where they live, in the north of Colombia. So if you have the opportunity and to be awake, it would be a very special time to be in their presence, because speaking from the sacred side, it means that somehow Mother Earth would be speaking to us through them.
Oh, I'm going to try and get up. I'm going to try. I really am. And I just want to honour the fact that you brought together with a lot of other people in London, the Flourishing Diversity, do you call it a conference, a festival?
Yeah, it was a Flourishing Diversity was a co-creation that happened last September, where we brought a number of indigenous leaders to London from different parts of the planet, and where the audience was the normal Londoners, especially the youth. And we also held some session like in the City of London, in a very big law firm, or the Serpentine Art Gallery. And what is amazing, that people have never been in the presence of indigenous people, who probably don't even know who indigenous people truly are, after being in their presence and listening to their wisdom and really simple words and stories, they had tears in their eyes. So it was a big learning for everyone, including myself. So now with Flourishing Diversity, we are creating more dialogues with indigenous people and sort of helping people to open up and understanding that we can all be flourishers, in the sense that we can all do something to change the way we live, and we at the moment still exploit this planet. Mm-hmm. And how we can have our own values and understanding truly that we can make a difference, each of us, even if it's small, doesn't matter, it's a difference.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's huge work. I will try and be really brief in my introduction. I'm Kate Genevieve, and I'm an artist. My work with dreaming really started with improvisation and theatre, like Kate Alderton's, and then shifted into public art projects. Like in 2010, I asked the people of Brighton to share their dreams and tweet their dreams, and we projected them onto the architecture. That was like a collaborative project with an animators network there. And it just, you know, it never went away. Sometimes you think that projects will end, but this project never ended. It just got deeper and deeper. And I met a teacher who's based in Hawaii, Apila, Colorado, who sort of apprenticed me in this collective dream holding. And that meant going to various meetings and having a space at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. for people at the meeting to come and speak their dreams before the meeting started for that day. And I'd be drawing them as one of the glyphs. And it just became clear how sharing dreams, because, you know, they just naturally come. You can't really impress anyone with your dream. When people sit around in the intimacy of a circle, they start to know each other in a really unforced way. And that really supported the kind of collective meeting work that was being done. And when I started working with the Systems Change Hive in Brighton, which was very much about connecting artists and illustrators with systems change thinking, and like really understanding that there's a role here for communicating the life of this living world and the alternative paths we can take in a whole load of ways, multisensory ways, experiential, through the non-verbal, through visual, through song. And one of the things I did in that was listen to people's dreams at the beginning of these sessions. And then I created a big, what we called the Oniroglyph, which was a kind of tapestry of images that everyone had dreamt over that work together. And it is like a big piece of weaving. And I'm so happy we're going to be doing that tonight. It feels such a weird solstice, to be honest. I mean, what an extraordinary time we're living in. And I don't think people are allowed to gather at Stonehenge. I think they've got an online live stream of the sun coming up at Stonehenge. But there is this way we can connect, which is to mark the intention of just listening to the inspiration inside. I find that is really supportive to creative sovereignty, and also the creativity of groups of people who hold this this will, this determination for transformation through this mad, insane, grief-stricken year of 2020. So what we were thinking is having a conversation about some of the dreams that have come up and what we're learning in that process over the last few months. But just before we enter into that, can we just ask, like, who is dreaming at the moment? Are you noticing your dreams in new ways? Is this something which is like resonating with your own embodied experience of life and the days of lockdown? Or is it a sort of fascinating, but it's not ringing true for the experience you're having? Like, where is your dreaming lives at?
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah. Hello. Hi.
Hi, Kate. Hi. My dreaming's very broken, very, very broken, and I can barely remember. So one of the reasons I've come today is because I want to sort of stimulate that process a bit within me to try and bring it forward more. And when I do remember about my dreams, I wake up with this sense of a population of things, like animals usually, and sometimes anxious dreams. In the early days, anxious dreams about the virus. And they disappear very quickly. Now, when I was younger, I used to keep a dream diary, and when I wrote, I'd wake up in the night with this rich dream and I'd just write it down. It'd be this horrendous mess across a page, but I could unpick it the next morning. And it's not happening anymore, and I would love it to, because I think it would really help me. So that's why I'm here. And thank you very much for holding this space. It's really important.
I truly think that when we attend to the relationship, and especially with the support of friends and other dreamers, that you can begin to hear the voice again. And I totally resonate with there was one extremely stressful week in lockdown where I was just having broken and difficult sleep and not remember anything, but having this sense of, oh my God, I'm dreaming so much, but I have no idea what any of it is. It's amazing how you can come back into relationship. I also just want to bring that something that a lot of the dream scientists have noticed is that before a great event, and this really messes with our Western understanding of what time is, that before they did a study in September, around September the 11th, and people were dreaming of tidal waves before that. And I can only say that having held these spaces in the run up to what we are going through this year, so many tidal waves were coming through. And that it's something that it only really speaks and starts to shift your sense of the world and the dreaming terrains when you're doing it together, because there's other people also being like, hey, hold on a moment, are you noticing this? But yeah, just to really, I guess, like bring that feeling that the relationship can be tended and the connection comes again. Did you just pop in? Someone turned on their video. Yeah. Do you want to share your dreaming life?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm Andy. I've got the Civic Square name, so my actual name is Andy. I feel like I kind of remember the sort of very last dreams before wake up. That sort of, it's quite a lucid kind of dreaming stage, and I was intrigued sort of maybe kind of 6 weeks into kind of lockdown. That's when sort of elements of lockdown life kind of started to enter into my dreams, and I was kind of surprised at how long it took for those kind of new restrictions to be in place and things like that, and how the kind of the consciousness of new rules started to kind of go into it. But I've kind of found a lot of my dreams are very much about escape and wanting to get out and be by myself and things like that, which is possibly not that difficult to interpret. But I fell off my bike a couple of weeks ago as well, and hurt my back quite badly, and I was surprised at how quickly that sort of then comes back into the dream cycle, and quite frequently, and there's sort of, as you say, there's almost small points of trauma that you can kind of see coming, perhaps, but then what happens, how your brain processes them afterwards, I think is quite fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I am. I'm just having trouble with the video part of it.
Oh, welcome. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Good to
Thanks
hear.
very much. I guess I did have a question for Paola later, more about the indigenous work that you've been doing, because that sounds very interesting as well. And so, yeah, it'd just be interesting. I got an interesting book from Kate, actually, about called The Tree of Meaning, and it talked a lot about recording stories from indigenous cultures before really written languages were kind of part of that, part of the way of recording. And that seems to me like a really nice bridge between dream work and language, and yeah, the universality of dreaming and language. Yeah, so that would be interesting to hear more about that, if that is part of this, or maybe later on or something. So
I can already tell you, Lucas, that thank you for the question, and yes, all these prophecies are beautiful stories that actually were mostly received in dreams and visions, and having a vision is a sort of a dream for the shamans and the faith leaders in the various indigenous tribes. And what is really that I love is listen to these prophecies and stories, not only because there is always a very deep learning, it's not just a fairy tale story, it's much deeper than even our fairy tale stories, but the prophecies, some of them are coming to life, that are happening. And that is well blown away. And even the elders, one of the prophecies, for example, is that one day the eagle and the condor will fly together. And usually the eagle is represented by North American tribes, and is a masculine, and the condor is represented by South America and the feminine. And when they will fly together, peace will be restored on earth. And actually what is happening now is not only elders from North America and South America are truly coming together and speaking to each other and creating bigger circles, but it's like our society is somehow getting closer to the indigenous people. I don't want to generalize and say everyone, but there is definitely a big interest in our society about indigenous people, a genuine interest. And I also work with Extinction Rebellion, and I'm bringing the voices of the elders to Extinction Rebellion as well. And I can see how especially the youth is blown away by listening to the elders, to the dreamings, to the stories, and how a simple story is changing them. And I love that. It's like, for me, it's mind-blowing in every possible way. And yes, and all these prophecies are usually coming through the dreaming process. because in certain in indigenous tribe, also the first thing they do in the morning when they wake up is talk about their dreaming, what's happening in the dreaming, even the kids. And somehow then the tribe in a circle is holding the dreaming that is not just of the tribe, but also of the single person, and it enables also the healing eventually that needs to be taking place.
Oh, that's so much what it feels like we are rediscovering by dreaming together. And I'm so glad you asked about the tree, because the amount of dreams that were reported about this huge tree where people were climbing up into its branches, or they were taking babies up into the branches. At the moment that lockdown was being announced, there were these like incandescent, they were quite Disneyland, to be honest. They were like extraordinary dreams of the trees, and it just lit me up, and I know the whole group felt this as well, to the fact that these myths, these origin stories, they still live within people. It's not about artists having a specific, it's not simply creative people. They live in everyone, and it's part of what is at the origin of our understanding. And I mean, that's just been it was so strange to ask for people to share their dreams, and then the first 6 that came back were this huge tree. And I wonder, Kate, would you share one of, because you had the most beautiful willow tree dream, and I think that in some sense the dream itself speaks, and I'd love to give that some room in this conversation.
Yes, so it's very, because I'm so curious about the language of dreams, how dreams speak. This was a real treasured dream for me, and it was at the beginning of lockdown. And in the dream, I was standing in front of the most enormous willow tree, really beautiful, big, weeping willow tree by the water, and it had light going through it, and there was the sound of the leaves rustling. It was a very somatic dream. It was a very tangible dream, felt very real as a texture in my dreaming world. And I was with my partner, and I opened my mouth because I wanted to communicate something to my partner. And instead of speaking, I began to speak the language of the entire tree. So I began to speak its roots and its soil and the mycelium underneath it, and the way the light was coming through the leaves and the sound of it. So it was a very treasured dream for me, because it was a whole language from another living being on the planet. And I'm still working with that dream. I make collage, and we make music out of trees, my partner and I. So that's one of the dreams that I kind of try and pull through and keep working with to get a deeper understanding of it.
You just feel it at the beginning of so many different cultures' stories. I'm thinking about the Norse Yggdrasil, this world tree, where the great tree has the snake or the lizard dragon gnawing away at the roots, always sort of threatening the destruction of the tree. And then there's an eagle sitting atop the tree, which has this bird's eye view perspective. And between these two creatures runs the little squirrel, passing all the messages from one to the other, but always mischievously messing the message up a little bit, to keep the play going. And on the leaves are the dewdrops, which contain the unborn who are going to be coming into the manifest world. And it's at the heart of the Norse understanding, but it's at the heart of so many understandings. And that sense that nature is alive inside us, I think is, it's an experience that hearing other people's dreams brings me into.
I'd like to speak a little something that really resonated with me when I had some training and some experience with Damanhur. So Damanhur is a place in Italy that work very deeply with dreams and energy and the land, and they've built a beautiful temple there. And what we learned and explored with one of their dreaming teachers was, she talked about, you know, there being a waking world and a dreaming world, or an other world, and that the boundary between the two used to be much less rigid, but we've become very used to believing in a kind of reality, and keeping dreams as dreams, and spiritual work or soul work, or whatever, however you choose to describe it. And she talked about there being a kind of fracture line between the two, and that dreamers and artists and healers and shaman and poets and people who consider other things work on the fracture line between waking world and the other world. And sometimes it feels like nighttime dreaming, and sometimes it feels like having a creative idea come from nowhere, and sometimes it feels like healing. But it's not always easy to stand on that fracture line, particularly at the moment, because the tug towards making waking reality the only reality there is very strong. So I really hear what, you know, I don't find it always easy to stand and play or operate on that line either. I think it's not always dreamy to be a dreamer. Sometimes it's really, really quite hard.
Yeah, far from it. Yeah, far from it.
Can I say something? I hear you, Elisabeth and Kate, and I've been there, and I'm still there sometimes, because the fracture creates a duality in us, and the duality creates a pain. The learning is to let go of wanting to make it work for you or for your loved one, for the rest of the world. And what the big spiritual teachers, including the Dalai Lama, what they say is, you can be always in the other reality, in the dream world, with no duality and not separation. But what is very much needed is let go of your ego, of your mind, and be in your heart. And how do you do it? With a lot of spiritual practice, if you believe in it. Just a lot of meditation. If you every morning you start with a nice meditation, it truly grounds you for the day and allows your soul and even your mind to handle whatever is coming to you very easily. And that happens to me. I've had time where I don't have time to do meditation and do my spiritual practice, and then it's where the reality takes over my life, and it's not nice. It's a heavy experience. And as Kate says, yes, very creative people. They say, some of them, they say, oh, these things, this creation just popped into us and it just happened. It's because somehow creative people are very open, like healers, to the universe, in receiving what is out in the universe. Like a very good friend of mine, he's an incredible music composer, and he composes opera. And I say, wow, you are really talented, you're amazing. I say, no, Paola, I'm just an antenna. I receive what is out there in the universe and just put it down.
I feel like Carl Jung and his emphasis on initiation and how hard the journey is someone who's very present in my mind right now, and his words that our creativity is not our own, it just runs through us.
You know, listening to you speaking and thinking about how when we dream together, I think that's my experience of having dreamed with a big group of dreamers over an extended period of time and having a dreaming community. that it seems to create a kind of resensitizing to being able to pick up those far away signals that can come through dreaming, that can be speaking of something that's on the way, from an ecological point of view, from a collective community point of view. I think there are sort of trace elements of things in my experience that can start to drift in through our collective and personal dreaming. And when we're sensitized through practice in dreaming individually as well as collectively, it can be really helpful, especially when we're connected in dream work, because then we can work together to listen to what's coming over the horizon before it reaches manifest solid reality in a more impactful and challenging way. Certainly that's been my experience in working with a big group of dreamers.
Very nice.
And I want to just bring in to end this session that over these last weeks, as the protests have been really rising, people have been sharing such intense dreams about new leadership. People have been dreaming about Barack Obama as this sort of extraordinary people's hero, and the pouring in of protest dreams and a kind of revolutionary spirit is really cooking. But it's really hard too, and I think people are also exhausted by what's happening right now. Not everyone, but many. So I wonder, I feel like it's such a rich question and such a deep sharing, and this interaction between what's going on in our dream lives and the transformation that we want to live in the world, and what this festival exists for. I feel like if we keep on bringing up this this connection with our dreaming life, we'll get better at sort of noticing what humans really are and how imagination works within us and guides us. That's my hope.
Just want to respond a little bit, and I mean, I think just finding ourselves again, having time to discover that part of ourselves that that lives at the edge of both worlds that Paola also mentioned. And I mean, we're all talking about the same thing, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that we really need to support each other in practice and discover what this practice is, because what dreaming is for you might not necessarily what dreaming is for me, but I think there is some sort of a dreaming commons, and that's what I'm curious about, is like, how do you do that other than practice it, come together on a regular basis and question it and do it, and all of that. So I just wanted to offer that as a possibility that I would be interested in if anyone else wanted to pursue that on a regular basis.
Well, for sure. Please join us at 4 p.m. on Sundays, and let's continue practicing, because there's so much to learn and we're learning it together. I wonder, Michael and Elisabeth and Lucas, for the dream incubation we're having tonight, is there something which out of this meeting together would you like to add to the pot? Is there any way that is there something that you desire in our collective intention to dream tonight that we can weave in?
I don't know quite what you do in these incubations, but so my response to that is that I think we need to dream and imagine and bring forth a world in which people who dream in ways that are not understood yet have real value in the world. They have presence in policy making, in government, in tech, in all the boring places, the places that are rigid, the places that are full of science, that we have places, we have seats on the boards of these places. We're able to do it. That's what I'd like to weave in. I don't know if that's what you meant, but that's what I'm putting there.
Oh, I love it. I think it's so much about protecting the new, and the new as it comes forth, who knows what it is, and making that space to hold it with the appreciating just how tender and emergent it is. That is truly vital. I don't think it will work to show you because of my background, but one of the things we do draw the dreams out, and so there's a way that the drawing of the dreams is bringing in, making something emerge out from the white page, from our collective space. And I think that's one way of honoring what everyone's bringing, just by having all the images live together on one page.
So it's okay to bring visions rather than dreams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am all welcome. Yeah.
I wanted to add to that the body element, even though I'm just pretty disembodied right now on your screen, but the whole thing of dreaming through the body is really important element for me. So it's kind of harder in doing this virtually, but in other ways it's easier because I can be in my own space and I can be really listening and being in my body a lot more. So yeah, that's just like the drawing, you know, like there's the drawing as a way to represent things. And for me, the shapes, because I do this practice called authentic movement, and it's very much a dreaming practice. And yeah, like I said before, I think we dream in different ways, and that's really my preferred practice or way in.
Oh, Kate Alderton, maybe you could speak about the embodied element of the ceremony we'll do tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I really hear that, Michael. Dreaming in the body and through the body resonates very deeply with me as well. You know, I think it's where a lot of our dreaming is held, and a really wonderful way to deepen understanding of what's coming through the dreaming in our physical manifest form. So part of our dreaming incubation ceremony will be about embodiment before we dream. And I'd be, really open to, I work with dream movements. So I create sequences of movements from movements that have occurred and appeared in dreams to create a kind of small choreographed dream movement. So I'd be really open to, us seeing if we can remember some of those, the moving elements of dreams that we dreamed tonight, and maybe sharing them tomorrow if we have time. Because I think it's a really lovely way to anchor the dreaming into the waking world through the body.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a little suggestion for embodiment around touch, which will unfold at 5 p.m. But I know that our time is coming to a close, and thank you so much for waiting and sticking around. And I hope that you all can come at 5 p.m. If you can't for some reason, it actually, we're still able to dream together without connecting on Zoom. as hard as this is to imagine. So you were so welcome to come at 9 a.m. as well for the sharing. And if there's some development we can do around in embracing embodiment more, I am on Hopin, Michael, so we can chat about that, and I can relay that to Kate and Paola. But yeah, thank you so much. It was not the presentation that I expected, but it was the presentation that was, it was the conversation that wanted to happen, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was perfect, and thank you everyone, and thank you Andy for enabling us to be together today.
Yes, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for bringing your hearts and your dreams and your ears.
Thank you all.
And Civic Square for creating this beautiful festival.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say I feel immensely privileged to be spending time with these people who have so much experience in such a small group. It's wonderful. Thank you, and I feel very held.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye everyone.
Go
Bye.
well.
Bye.